Should you give an F about Marvel's Spider-Man, Miles Morales? Welcome back, FF family. My name is Dylan, and I'm back with another Platinum review. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I don't just beat the game, I platinum them. If you're into reviews like this, plus our weekly podcasts, and all of the things we have cooking on movies, other video games, and more, make sure you hit that sub button. Alright, let's get into it. Before we get into this, here's a warning, spoilers ahead. So the game picks up about a year after the first Spider-Man, and Miles is still finding out his rhythm, kind of stepping up while Peter is out of town. The intro's awesome. Miles comes out of the subway, he's listening to music, you see a mural painting of the new Spider-Man, and everything's peaceful. But as soon as there's peace, you know there's chaos right around the corner. The game launches you right into the action once again, web slinging your way over to Peter, and you meet him, and you're having a great conversation, and little quips back and forth that you expect. Convoy's leading Rhino out of the city, and you're there to escort. Of course, something goes wrong and he breaks out, and so are the prisoners. As soon as that happens, you're thrust right into the combat once again. What's different this time about the game that's really interesting is the world around you feels alive. As you're fighting the prisoners to maintain the peace there, Peter's in the background fighting Rhino, and you see him hit from building to building back and forth, and it's really interesting just to sit back and watch the background as you're fighting these prisoners. It feels like that classic Insomniac energy where it's doing a lot of storytelling on top of the actions happening, and they layer it really well here. It's fun, and it feels just right. One thing out the gate that you can tell that they're doing something different with this that I really like is that the atmosphere is laid out really well here. As you're going through the city chasing Rhino while Peter's trying to hold him down, you get flown through a mall. You have to go through cityscapes dodging signs that Rhino's throwing at you, and it feels really engaging, and it's such a breath of fresh air from the first one where you really just see everything on the bottom ground at best, and you get caught up to the scene that's happening. Now it's evolving right in front of you. But we'll get to more of that later. At first, let's talk about the story. Story-wise, it's good. It's just not great. You can tell that this story is meant more to be an expansion of the first Spider-Man game as opposed to its own really centralized story like a true sequel. You can tell because a lot of the story beats feel rushed. For example, Prowler's the biggest offender of this. So the Prowler arc starts essentially from the very beginning where Miles goes to his dad's room and he sees an investigative folder labeled the Prowler. So you know that the Prowler's going to show up. Of course, if you've seen Into the Spider-Verse or you've read any of the comics, you know the Prowler is Uncle Aaron. When the story rolls around to Uncle Aaron, you do see him working at a train station, and he seems disengaged with the family for some reason that they won't tell you. My problem with this at the very beginning is that if you know Spider-Man at all and you didn't know that the Prowler was the villain or Uncle Aaron in this scenario, it's very apparent that they're connected in some way because the trope with Spider-Man is everyone in his family, either friend or close family relative, is a villain or they die. And that's very tough. It's very tragic. It's just a fact of how the story is told. Back to the Prowler. When it's revealed that Uncle Aaron is the Prowler, it's very fast because you know it right away once Aaron first meets Spider-Man, and obviously it's Miles there, and Aaron's like, yeah, I know you. I know it's Miles. I can see how you move. Reminds me of when you were on the playground. What? Why would Aaron know that Spider-Man is the same as his kid, like, nephew? What is happening? It makes no sense. I don't know why that would connect anybody to that. The point is, it's very hamstrung to why he would know that that's his nephew. Fast forward when he's revealed, it's also unearned, it feels like. It's just pushed in there, and it's like, oh, okay, well, you just been the Prowler the whole time. You're just this thief. That's okay, smile. And Miles just kind of moves on from it. I don't understand it. It was very forced integration into the story. I think the biggest problem with the Prowler, there's not a lot of build up to it, and you're just forced to be like, okay, Prowler's probably a good guy. He knows what he's doing. He's a Robin Hood, but it's not deserved. It's not earned. There's not really any background as to really why he's the way he is until later when you do the side objectives to get the Sounds of Harlem trophy. It feels very weird to hide or push that part aside when it's an integral part to learning of how his uncle and his father separated in the end. Overall, it's not a terrible reveal per se because it is in other mediums very well told. It's just in this, it's very, once again, it's just rushed. And it's kind of the same deal when it comes to Roxxon and the Underground. Later on, it's revealed that Miles Morales' best friend, once again, close friend, is revealed as the Tinkerer. I actually like that she was the Tinkerer. They did it really well in this story. She's a childhood friend that turned out to be a villain because their pseudo brother passed away due to Roxxon. So she's out for revenge. It fits the Spider-Man tragedy trope and, the themes that they have perfectly, but everything just, once again, it moves so fast that you don't really get to process it right before it ends. You're moved on to the next story very quickly. Now, the ending, though, that's where it really kicks off. At the end, Finn sacrifices herself so that way she's able to protect the city that she almost explodes. It's very gut-wrenching, and something that the Spider-Man storytelling team always does well is the choice you have to make. Save the city or save your family, and Spider-Man always makes the right choice. He gives in to the energy that's going to explode, and Finn chooses to sacrifice herself in the sky. Overall, it's fantastic. I absolutely loved it. And I have more about the Finn storyline and the overall gameplay and boss fights later, but I don't want to take away that the ending really sold me for it, especially when it shows a full encapsulation of the effort Miles puts in by the citizens saving his identity from the news reporters that are trying to see who he is. To wrap up the story on there, of course, I wish they would have done more with this, but once again, you see Harry, he's just, chilling in a vat. Like, Norman and Harry are just in the lab, and Harry's going to come out eventually. Obviously, he's going to be in Spider-Man 2. They're putting it right in your face, but I wish they would have done more than him just once again literally in this fish tank, and he's just going to come out eventually. I just wish they would have done more with it, that's all. Now let's get on to some more gameplay. First, let's talk about some mechanics. There is the gadgets and the suits that are a part of this, and I do love a lot of that fun stuff. First of all, the suits. Miles has the best suits compared to the first game that Peter has. I absolutely love all of them. The designs are just cleaner, they feel more realistic from what a kid his age would be using, it feels unique to him, and I enjoy every single one of them. To be fair, some of them could use a little work, but overall, there's more variety that I would have used in this game as I would have done in the first game. As far as the suit powers, there's nothing too flashier compared to what they had in the first one. It's about the same. It's just that the designs of the suits themselves really shine here. Now, speaking of suits, the cat suit, where you have Spider-Man on your back that follows you, absolutely my favorite suit. I'm not much of a cat person myself, but this definitely wins me over. I thought it was adorable that as you're going through like Venom powers, he's like grabbing through the air. I really enjoyed that. There were some weird parts in the story too, where Spider-Man, the cat, it's in a backpack on your back the whole time, and there are occasions where I would load into a save and the backpack would flicker completely invisible and back on after a few seconds, and it was kind of jarring. It goes away if you reload the game completely, but that was just one of a few bugs I noticed throughout this game. And with Spider-Man blinking in and out, there's other bugs that I've had through this. For example, I had an experience doing a crime quest, and the car I chasing went right through a building, and I had to go around the building to eventually catch up to it. I'm not sure how that happened. Another example, I did a short on this where I was trying to fight one of the underground people towards the latter half of the game, and he was just stuck inside of an ambulance, and I had to use Venom powers to reach him. Otherwise, he was stuck in there, and you're stuck. You can't continue until you beat all of the underground people in the area, or the Roxxon people, so you're just sitting there trying to reach him in this ambulance. As far as the gadgets, they're fine. They're the same kind of power level that you expect from the first one. They're different, but the same. It's a lot of either choosing between hard CC or you're using more utility based thing for AoE damage, for example. So they kind of push that more towards the suits as far as damage goes, and the gadgets are just solely for more of CC. My favorite one's a gravity mine for sure. I love just yoinking everybody together. It's very satisfying, and then doing like a Venom smash to push them down into the ground. Now let's get on to the gameplay where it really shines in this game. The story, leave it or take it, I get it. But the gameplay, you come back to play the game. Swinging in this game, first and foremost. It feels smoother. It really carries the atmosphere of the game, especially Miles' personality when he swings, how he grabs it and does little tricks without you having to actually do literal tricks that you can choose. This is very satisfying once again. It takes from the first game and elevates it even farther. As far as how Miles fights and Peter's fights, they're the same, but they're definitely different in the style in which they do. Miles feels faster and smoother, where Peter definitely has some weight to his punch. I love the dynamic the two have between the first and second one, and it feels refreshing to fight in this. The main gameplay mechanic when it comes to your fighting in this is the new Venom powers. The energy that Miles soaks in definitely is used in various ways, from just straight up punching the enemies to knocking them down, to doing Venom smashes, do AoE damage. This is very refreshing, and I love the abilities that they present in here. You do combos, knock them in the air, knock them down, like I mentioned, straight punching them afterwards. There's a lot of different ones, and if you build up your gauge long enough, it's going to be a full bar where you can explode in an AoE all around you that clean up. We'll get into more of this when we talk about the Platinum Trophy, but as we talk about the overall gameplay and what you're doing between the side missions and the main story, everything's a lot tighter of a game overall. Really, everything you're doing is very streamlined in general between your actual main story quests you do and the side missions, whether you're going through the Roxxon hideouts or the underground. It's really well done here because it's more streamlined. It makes it to where you don't have to have random encounters as much, and you just get to go do the missions you need to complete to fully 100% the map. One of the best improvements they did with this game was the final boss with Phin. To talk about Phin, let's go back a little bit to Roxxon. Roxxon's the evil main overarching villain company in this, where they're trying to guise their energy source as a way to control people, essentially. What Phin has done is she became the Tinkerer to counter Roxxon. So she created an evil organization called the Underground. Basically encapsulate all of what the villains in the first game could do to counter you, from shields to other weapons, like the demons, how they would able to run around you unless you countered their movements. That's just another way of doing so. Roxxon is basically the other Sable in this game, where they are definitely not as annoying, and I really loved it. So fast forward in the gameplay, the final battle with Phin is fantastic. It's actually a fight. Unlike in the first one, where Doc Ock was hit him 2 or 3 to 4 times, web him up, and do a quick time event or a QTE, what this game does is you actually go to the top of a tower in multiple stages and fight Phin in her multiple stages. What Phin is basically every enemy type put into one, from weapons to projectiles to shields. All of what you fought through, she is that villain. She is that encapsulation of all of them. It's very fun, and it's my favorite boss fight. One last piece when it comes to this game is I've got to talk about the atmosphere and how it encapsulates the gameplay together. While Phin is my favorite boss fight, my favorite moment is the bridge. There's a bridge scene where you have to make sure it doesn't fall apart. It's a first encounter where you have the Underground and Roxxon colliding together and engaging between one another, and you need to stop the fighting. Miles lands there, and between running through all of the Roxxon and Underground people to make sure that they don't kill everybody, you have to save citizens. There are quick time events, but they're so much better because they feel more cinematic, and then when you're done with them, they fling you right back into the combat of everything to get into a fight or complete another challenge where you have to make sure a bus doesn't fall into the water, where the bridge doesn't fall apart and everyone dies. It is so fun, and it's really, once again, I hope they carry this atmosphere into Spider-Man 2. Alright, let's get into the Platinum grind. In this game, there's not really a grind to it. As always with the Spider-Man games from Insomniac, and I guess really Insomniac Trend now, what you do is you can go through the story and you can repeat it, all of the side missions you may have missed, or the whole story to complete them later. There's no missable trophies in this game. As always, I'm going to go over what you have to do. High level in this Platinum Trophy, you really just need to beat the story, do the side content, and grab the collectibles. Nothing's missable and nothing is ridiculous. Now here's some tips to make sure that you know what to do when you're getting the Platinum in this game. First, you'll need to complete a New Game Plus run, so pace yourself. There is not an option on here to complete the Platinum without doing New Game Plus. The second part, when you're trying to 100% complete this game, with that New Game Plus, you may be wondering about the neighborhood progress. My strong recommendation for you is your first playthrough, just do the story, come back to New Game Plus, and do the side content there. In New Game Plus, you carry all of your talents, your gadgets, your suits, that all comes with you, but your neighborhood progress does not come with you. That completely resets. That way your first playthrough is to enjoy the story, your second playthrough can do all the side content without missing anything. The third thing is don't waste your activity tokens on gadgets outside of the ones you need for the trophy. What that means on here is that you only need about, I believe, 15 gadget points to get the trophy. Stop there. I did have to do a couple extra side activities on repeat to get the activity tokens to fully unlock the suits for the trophy, so do not spend the extras you do not need to. You can go through the game without doing any trophies, but this piece doesn't require a manual save like it did for Spider-Man 1, so you don't have to do insane challenges. Speaking of those challenges, they're broken up on here into mainly Peter Parker challenges. This is really fun because not only are they more streamlined and it's just simple races or combat or stealth, the Taskmaster challenges were really difficult compared to this one. These are more fun, not as challenging, but I'd rather take fun than just challenging. Once you get these, you really are only getting them for the mid-level reward to get your platinum trophy. The next thing is the crimes you need to stop. What those are is all on the app on your phone. So once you get a crime and encounter it, you can swipe on your social media feed and you can actually redo crimes instantly instead of having to travel to reach them or to them to magically appear. What you can do is you can actually just have the ability to replay them right away and do any of the content, like the bonus objectives, which once again is a trophy to complete, right away. And you do not have to wait. It is so good. It is such a good quality of life change that Insomniac did, and I really got to get them kudos for that. Fisk hideouts, demon hideouts, and all of the hideouts you had from the first one are just down to 2 in this. You had Roxxon and you had the Underground. Roxxon being the main villains of the story, kind of forgettable to go back to the story piece, and realistically so are the Underground and Roxxon hideouts. They really are not that engaging to go through. What they do is they're just a lot of do stealth to clear out the base, or you can go in guns blazing. There is a trophy for having to do the base without having to get caught, but realistically they're all the same. There's some bonus objectives. There's a lot of options to clearing them, but realistically they're very samey. In the end, you're clearing the base, you're either capturing everybody or you're shutting down a generator in the Roxxon hideout. That's it. All right, so final thoughts. So what do I think of Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales? So as far as Miles himself goes, he's my favorite Spider-Man. I love the comics way back when. Read them since I was a kid. I believe that they have done his character justice, as they've done in all mediums, it feels like, whether it be the comics or the recent Spider-Verse movies. He's well done here. This is no exception. Yeah, the story is rushed, but you kind of have to expect it when you know that this is an expansion of Spider-Man 1 as opposed to a true sequel. But once again, the gameplay is where this is shining, and that's what makes this either not only just a fun game, but a game you can return to in the current year that you're watching this, and you will not be disappointed the same way that I wasn't. And as you know here, with our Platinum Trophy hunts, is the Platinum Trophy experience fun? Is it engaging? Should you do it? I absolutely believe you should get the Platinum on here. It isn't challenging, but it's definitely more fun than the first one, and this is no exception of another recommendation where I would get the Platinum. It's smooth, it's fun, and it's zero frustration all throughout. So overall for me, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales gets 4 Fs out of 5. For its Platinum experience, Miles Morales gets 5 Fs out of 5. And it is even a better Platinum experience than the first Spider-Man. Alright FF family, that's my tale for today. Have you Platinumed this one yet? Drop your thoughts down below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed your time today. I'll catch you in for the next review and our next Platinum. Peace!